Okay, what I want to do now with this lesson, we're talking about ecosystems, but it's all based on photosynthesis. You got photosynthesis is the ability plants have of capturing sunlight energy and storing that energy in the chemical bonds by making a particular sugar called glucose. But what I want to do now is review some chemistry. Now, I know you did chemistry last year. I'm not exactly sure how far or what you got with each teacher and stuff. So I want to review some of this stuff. And besides, it's always good to see something a second time. So what I'm going to do today is review chemistry. And then the next lesson is going to be the chemistry of photosynthesis. Okay. Photosynthesis is the most important chemical reaction to fuel the life on Earth by capturing that sunlight energy, storing it in a glucose molecule. It's a kind of sugar that is made. Photosynthesis means to synthesize glucose using sunlight energy. Photo is light, synthesis is to put together that molecule. So that process is what powers life. And then there's this other process called cellular respiration, which is the opposite of photosynthesis that all happens in our cells where it releases that energy. Okay, so the energy is stored from the sun, and then it's released in our cells, and that's how we live. And it also explains things why we got to eat. If you ever wonder why do we have to eat? Well, it's because of this, to get the energy. And then why do we have to breathe? Well, we have to breathe to get the oxygen so we can release the energy. So all these questions all fit together, including chemistry, which is the study of atoms and molecules and basic units of what matter is. So I want to review chemistry to this time, okay? And you probably remember with chemistry, it has atoms, and atoms come together to form molecules. I want to review quickly what it means when you're seeing a chemical formula. So let's do that real fast. Take out a piece of paper, title it Chemistry Review. You're going to have these notes. You're going to put them in your notebook. Plus, you're going to answer the questions that follow the video, okay? So on your paper, pause the video now and get a piece of paper if you don't have one already. All right? Put it in your notebook. Okay, well. All right, so it's going to not be in your notebook till you're done, but get the paper ready. Okay, so on your paper, title it Chemistry Review. So let's review, how do you write a chemical formula? You know this, right? You should have it down, but I want to review it. I want you to write it down. The most famous molecule in the world is water. What is the formula for water? You all know it. Say it. That's right. It's H2O. So if you have H2O, write this down, 2O. Okay. Now, H2O. Notice this is how you write it. Remember, each of these letters stands for a particular type of atom, and this H stands for what? Hydrogen. If you were in my class last year, you probably remember doing this. It's a review. If you weren't in my class last year, well, you should have done something similar to this. You need to know this stuff. Okay, hydrogen is what H stands for. That stands for a atom. It just has one proton. Okay, so anyway, this one here stands for what? It's not a 0, it's an O. It stands for oxygen. H2O. Now this one here, now this is called a subscript. This is the proper way to do it, where it's smaller and it is down here. It's not up there. Okay, so this subscript means that there's two hydrogens, two H's. Okay, so that's what that means. All right, now remember, the way you write it is H2O like that. Okay, now sometimes I see kids write it like H2O. Is that right? No, that is not right. It's got to be a subscript. Okay, and sometimes I see kids write it like this. No, that's wrong. That would be a superscript. That is not right. Another thing that kids do is a mistake. They'll go H2O. Well, there's two hydrogens and one oxygen. No, you don't need that right there. It's just O. If there's only one of them, you just have the single letter, okay? So, that isn't right either. This is correctamundo. Now, here's something you may or may not remember. The reason you have to have this subscript, and you can't just do it with the big old giant full-size 2, you might call it a capital 2, is because if you go like 2H2O, this means you have two H2O molecules. Okay, so question, how many hydrogens do you have in one H2O? The answer is 2, right? Okay, so if you have 2 H2Os, how many hydrogens do you have? What is the answer? This would be, let's just put this little arrow here. What do we have here? We got 4 hydrogens, 4 H's. Well, how come there's 4 hydrogens? There's 2 of them here. That little 2 means you got 2 hydrogens. The 2 means you got 2 H2Os. So that would be 4 hydrogens. Write that down. How many oxygens do you have? Well, if you have 2 H2Os, you have 2 oxygens, okay? I'm just doing the apostrophe S to make it seem like a plural. So 2 oxygens and 4 hydrogens is what you've got if you've got 2 H2O molecules. Does that make sense? Do you see what I'm talking about? This is 1 H2O. There's 2 hydrogen, 1 oxygen. There's 2 H2Os. That would make 4 total hydrogens and 2 total oxygens. Now that is important for what we're about to do. This is why I want to do this review, okay? So we're going to practice this now. And I want you to do the practice, answering the questions. And it's not every question is going to directly have something written in the notes, but it's going to be important from having paid attention to writing the notes and understanding what I'm talking about here.